Whether you're picking and grinning or just grinning, grab a drink, pull up a seat. It's time for Roots Music Rambler. Turn it up.
All right, so Jason, I saw not that long ago on Instagram, and I think Facebook too, there was some discussion back and forth about the fate, the future of Manchester Music Festival. And I know, you went last year, sing its praises, and we talked to Jess and Tim, right? Jess and Tim. We had them on the show. So can you break it down, like what all happened?
Yeah, so this is kind of a story of small town politics, and I don't know all the politics, so I'm going to skip all the boring politics shit
Okay.
and just let everybody know. First of all, Manchester Music Fest, nothing's changed. It's still on for Labor Day weekend. The Creakers, Cole Chaney, Jason Scott and the High Heat, B. Taylor, Jack Wharf Band, Hancock and Shouse, wonderful lineup. It's going to be a great event. I'm going. I can't wait to go, etc. So the headline here is nothing's changed. There's been some scuttlebutt going on back in Eastern Kentucky, but shit happens like that in small towns, especially in Eastern Kentucky. And I don't know what the specifics are of this in Clay County, Manchester, Kentucky, but let me just kind of give you the blow by blow.
All right.
The Manchester Tourism Commission, which is the executive director until recently was Tim Parks, our buddy and friend of the show, guest on the show with Jess Bowman, because, and that's his role, executive director of the City of Manchester's Tourism Commission. That was his job. He is also on the advisory board and kind of the de facto CEO executive person behind Manchester Music Fest, which is a separate organization, separate thing. It's not owned by the city of Manchester. Manchester Tourism is one of the main sponsors of it. So in that light, Tim played two roles.
Yeah.
One on the sponsor side, as the executive director, he just helped with, and that's public money. That's there's a steering committee or whatever, or a board of directors. It's elected. It's taxpayer dollars at work. And so Tim was hired by a board of directors to run the Tourism Commission. He convinced them that Manchester Music Fest, a separate organization that he served on a basically steering committee for, was worth investing in because it's going to bring tourism dollars to the city, and it makes perfect sense. But they are two different things.
Okay.
Tim has said before any of this happened that this is going to be his last year, really, being involved as the main guy running Manchester Music Fest. That didn't have anything to do with the tourism thing.
Okay.
After that happened, after he said, this is going to be my last year with Manchester Music Fest, it's going in a great direction, Jess is here, et cetera, et cetera. After that all happened, something happened in Clay County in Manchester, Kentucky, and the Tourism Board of Directors was called together and they voted to buy out Tim's contract and remove him from his position effectively. And the local newspaper and people on social media are like, this is jealousy and small town politics and blah, 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 blah. I'm from a small town. That shit happens every 3 to 6 months. And some organization involving the government and taxpayer dollars and all that kind of shit. I don't know what happened in Clay County. I don't know any of the facts of their case other than Tim said publicly afterwards he agreed with the board's decision. He accepted the buyout and he's no longer there and he wishes them the best and everything publicly anyway is all up and good and whatnot. But somebody got their ego up their ass and probably, said something and said, we got to get Tim Parks out of here because he's doing something bad or wrong. Tim wasn't doing anything bad or wrong. It's probably somebody just being jealous. That's how these small town things work out. Nonetheless, doesn't have anything to do with whether or not Manchester Music Fest happens.
Okay.
It doesn't have anything to do because the Tourism Commission came out quickly after and said, we're still sponsoring the music event. Don't worry. None of this has any effect on that. Now, I have supreme confidence in Jess Bowman, among other people, taking over the Manchester Music Fest. And I have supreme confidence that this year's event is not going to be affected by this. It's going to go on. It's going to be great. I'm going. I can't wait. I would encourage anybody who was thinking about going to go. No problems. I do have some reservations, though, about the long-term relationship between Manchester Tourism and Manchester Music Fest and whether or not that will affect how Manchester Music Fest can go forward. But I also know that it's a separate entity, and even without the tourism support, they can go out and find other sponsors and make this thing continue to go on and go good. So there's some slight hesitation as to whether or not that relationship will continue.
Yeah.
But only slight. And I'm not from Clay County or Manchester, so I don't know the players, and my opinion doesn't matter. I'm not a qualified opinion on this.
Yeah.
But for anybody out there who was worried about, should I go? I've already bought tickets. Oh my God. It's going on as planned. No problem. I'll see you there.
All right. Well, that's good. Good news.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. It was a little confusing as an outsider, trying to, and like you said, I don't know the players. I know them even less than you do. And, but because we had Jess and Tim on the show, I follow all of them, and, I caught wind of something was amiss, and I thought we should clarify it since they are friends of the show.
And not to confuse or muddy the waters anymore, but Tim Parks is also managing the Creekers. So, he's still a close friend of us for lots of reasons.
Right.
The least of which isn't that he's one of the greatest guys in the world. He's just a cool dude.
Yeah.
And we loved him. So he's fine, and everything's fine with him. And he's still a pillar of the community in Manchester, and he's still going to be very successful and still going to be a friend of the show and all that good stuff. He's just got obviously a lot of irons in the fire, and things have shifted for him with the Creekers. And so him being, his contract being terminated and him being bought out by the Tourism Commission is probably a good thing in his work-life balance, because now he can focus more on managing the Creekers, and they're blowing up. In fact, they're the headliner at Manchester Music Fest.
Yeah, and they're playing Lollapalooza. I think we talked about that, but
they're playing everything, dude. I mean, they're next Sunday. I will be able to see them at Railbird. Like it's
that's right.
So, and they're sharing the same stage with Nicholas Jamerson, and then later that night is Tyler Childers. I mean, it's going to be a crazy day. So yeah,
I would love to.
Things are going great for them. I think they're at Bourbon and Beyond too. Like they're going to be all over the place at all the big festivals. So
nice,
good stuff.
All right.
Welcome to Roots Music Rambler. She's Frank,
and he's Falls,
and we're rambling on through the stories behind the music we love.
Yes, and today on the show, we are talking with another of my new to me favorite artists, Noah Guthrie. So Noah is originally from South Carolina, and I'm lucky enough to have seen him live twice now. So what initially drew me into Noah's music was, his emotional lyrics, and of course the storytelling. So Noah has said himself that he wants to be, quote, one of the hardworking musicians who steps up, leaves a mark, and changes the music industry for the better. And I would say that he is definitely accomplishing all of that.
And if the name Noah Guthrie sounds familiar to you outside of his recorded music, maybe it's because you've seen him on television over the past 7 or 8 years or so. He's made appearances on shows like America's Got Talent, Dancing with the Stars, not as a contestant, but as a singer-musician. And he even had a role on the 6th season, I believe, of the hit TV show Glee.
Yes. And how fun is that? Like, I knew about America's Got Talent, but I just recently learned about Dancing with the Stars and Glee. And you can guarantee that we are going to be asking Noah about all of this.
Absolutely. Back to his music real quickly. Noah released a new album, Oddly Flexible, in March of this year. His music has been described as a mix of Chris Stapleton's country rock grit with the authenticity of Jason Isbell. And if that's not enough, Noah has opened for the likes of Ed Sheeran, Sister Hazel, Matt Nathanson, my favorite, Dwight Yoakam, and as well as, Willie Nelson. Jeez, oh, Pete, are you kidding me? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff. And then another fun fact is that I was introduced to Noah Guthrie and his music via our old friend of the show, Nathan Graham. So Noah and Nathan joined for a mini tour late last year, and then they played together again here in Chicago back in February, I believe it was. So of course, I attended both shows, and during the first one, the first time I saw Noah, he was an instant favorite.
He's got a great sound. Frank and I are looking forward to talking with Noah, learning more about his roots, his influences, as well as other exciting news he may have to share. So let's take a quick break here, refill our beverages, and thank the fine sponsors that make this show happen. When we come back, we will be chatting with Glee cast member Noah Guthrie. Stay tuned. This is Roots Music Rambler.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup meal at McDonald's is underway with one of 9 legendary cups in the lineup. Christian Pulisic, David Beckham, Lamine Yamal, Ronaldinho, Thierry Henry, Son Heung-min, Alphonso Davies, Santi Jimenez. And between the posts, it's Grimace. Get one of 9 collectible cups with a FIFA World Cup meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last. All rights reserved. 2026 McDonald's at FIFA World Cup 2026.
This episode is brought to you by Prime. What if you had one more chance with the one that got away?
Sam, you came home.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune. Every Year After follows childhood friends Sam and Percy as they reunite in the dreamy, nostalgic lakeside town of Barry's Bay.
Love can be hard to find. So if you're lucky enough to find that person, never let go.
A second chance at first love. Every Year After, now streaming only on Prime.
I grew up looking at the Blue Ridge Line and the ancient hills of the Iroquois. Long ago in a valley where the mountains stood tall, they made their home in the shadow of a blue wall. Well, time rode on with earth and sky. The train brought work and a highway brought life. In a tiny mill town looking up at it all, handful of proud people at the bottom of a blue wall.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. That their song is Blue Wall by Noah Guthrie off his 2022 album of the same name. Noah, thank you so much, man, for taking time to talk with us. We're thrilled to have you. How you been?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're absolutely tickled you're here. Since we came back to break with your song Blue Wall, it seems a good place for us to start as your roots and background. I know you've said that the song is like a love letter to home, specifically the Blue Ridge Mountains where you grew up and still reside. Tell us more about your surroundings and the place where you are and how the Blue Ridge Mountains in that area influences your music.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Blue Wall is definitely about my home. And I still live and have grown up my whole life in the foothills of South Carolina. So, we call it the upstate. Sometimes people think it's funny when I say upstate South Carolina. They think I'm like trying to like riff on upstate New York or something. And I'm just like, no, that's just what it's called. It's on t-shirts and but anyway, yeah, so I live in the upstate of South Carolina. And yeah, the Blue Ridge Mountains are just, a very short drive away from me. I can see them, pretty much all day, all the time. Just kind of off in the distance, and they are that kind of perfect shade of blue. And I've just grown up, seeing that and adventuring in those mountains and just kind of in awe of this place, this area. I think I'm very lucky to grow up in such a beautiful part of the country. And it just kind of always finds its way into my music somehow. Even before I wrote Blue Wall specifically, I think just the imagery of this place always kind of finds its way into my stuff. And, I think that's just because I'm very inspired by the natural world anyway. And just all the like different trees and critters and stuff around me. So, and I also, my wife is also very into like bugs and flowers and all that stuff. So it's always around me, and it's always gonna find its way into my music. But yeah, I wrote Blue Wall a few years back, when I wrote it during the pandemic, when pretty much all we could do was go outside and go to like a forest or something to not be around people, but still not go insane. So I was hiking at a place not too far from my house called the Blue Wall Nature Preserve. And up until then, I'd never heard the Blue Ridge Mountains called the Blue Wall. But I learned that it was the Cherokees' name for it when they kind of settled in this area before everybody else. And um, I knew that day. I remember I turned to my wife and was just like, I think I'm gonna write a song about our home when we get back to the house. And I got home and started, and there it was. And it was really one of the more like rewarding songs I think I've ever written, just because when I got done with it, I was like, oh, I think I did it. It doesn't always end that way. You sometimes you write a song and it feels good. It always feels good to complete a song, but you never really know, like, what does it mean? Is it going to be anything big? And, I'm not saying I don't know if Blue Wall is necessarily big. I think I got it right, as right as I could be. There's always something I could change, but, yeah, it means a lot to me. I love.
Right. And then also growing up, music was literally in your house, right? Your dad and stepmom were session singers. And as such, you and your brother spent a lot of time in local studios. And then when you were in high school, you fell in love with storytelling, began writing your own songs. So, what kinds of stories were you trying to tell back then?
Man, when I was when I first started writing, I mean, it was always, just like the base your base level like breakup song, or like, which is crazy because I've never actually broken up before because I married my high school sweetheart. So like it was all kind of
Hypothetical.
I'm a huge fraud is what it is.
She
But
ever
no,
give you the business? Like, where the hell did you come up with that? That has to be real.
No, she doesn't. It's funny. People always ask me, how does she, react to all these love songs and stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, she kind of, I guess she operates under a understanding that, I mean, pretty much everything like that I write is based in some kind of truth about us and our relationship, and um, she's never really she's never really given me any like grief for anything I've said. If she's holding her tongue, then she's holding it well. But it's been a long time. Um, but no, I think when I was in high school, music and that form of self-expression was what I had. I didn't I never really felt super comfortable in school, not necessarily in the academic part of it. I was okay. I wasn't, some shining student, but um I just never, I don't know. I was very insecure. I didn't really know who my people were. I didn't, and I found that I found my people. I found, kind of my way, in that time when I started like opening my mouth and singing in front of people. Um, and it really did changed a lot. Changed kind of, well, it really changed everything. Cause as soon as I got out of high school, I started doing music and haven't looked back. I've looked back a couple times, but I haven't gotten off the path yet. So,
Right. That's good. That's
yeah.
good. And I believe it was, I mean, I think the time period that you're referring to is when you started posting your cover versions of songs on your YouTube channel, and those videos did really well. You had millions of views. I wonder, was that the ignition point of you realizing that you wanted to maybe be a professional musician, or maybe at least knew that you had some sort of future in pursuing it? When did that happen?
Um, it's an interesting question because I mean, the easy answer is yes, because I mean, I definitely, when I started posting stuff online, um, I was definitely trying to get the name out there. I was trying to pursue some kind of something with it. Um, but all of that kind of happened in its own way anyway, because the whole reason I started posting online was I did this one cover of um, "Where the Streets Have No Name" by U2. That was my first ever like real cover song that I ever did, and I think it's so funny because I definitely did not set out to be a cover artist. Like that was not the goal. Nothing wrong with it, but it was not what I wanted. Um, but I knew that was kind of the way to get stuff out there. But anyway, before I even started posting regularly, I had done this cover of "Where the Streets Have No Name," and my dad had filmed me playing it in his house. And he posted it to YouTube just to share with the family, because it was just the easiest way to share with the family. Back in like, the rest of my family lives in northern Alabama, and that was just kind of the way he was showing them what I was doing. And we didn't really, I literally, there was no plan at that point. It was just like, "Hey Dad, I did this cover song of my favorite band. Here you go." And he shared it with, my uncle and like some people. um, but it was public, and so the weirdest thing happened, and I got a call or my dad got a call, I should say, um, from this random guy, who said he was a researcher for the Ellen DeGeneres show, and that he had come across my cover and really enjoyed it and thought it was really great, and that they were they were trying to find contestants for a contest they were putting on Ellen DeGeneres' website. Which, can you imagine, like early 2000s, you can imagine getting people to go to your website was like still a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could host contests on your website. People thought that
What's a
was awesome.
website?
Yeah, I know, right? It almost seemed like mine is almost irrelevant at this point. But anyway, so they were like, "Hey, we would love to showcase Noah and his video on our website and put him in this contest." And at the time, the contest was at the time, Ellen DeGeneres was starting her own record label for like a real hot minute, like as hot of a minute as you could have. And they were like, "If you win the contest, you can get a spot on her record label." And we were like, "Okay, sure, whatever." So they put it on the website. I think I won that contest. I could be misremembering it, like I really could, but I'm pretty sure I did. And no record label
The
or anything like that. I'm pretty sure her record label folded, like, I mean, had to be months after, I would think, because it was
I was going to say, did they actually release any records?
I think they did do you guys remember this? Like, it was a kid at the time. He was a kid. Oh, I wonder what he's doing now. Sorry. Grayson Chance, I think is his name. He was like just this. He was kind of looked like Justin Bieber. He was gonna be like her Justin Bieber, I think was the idea. Anyway, she had signed him, and they had like released some music, and I guess whoever was in charge was like, "Record labels, let's make a record label for Ellen DeGeneres." But anyway, I ended up winning that contest, I think, and then afterwards, I had a lot more attention. I had a lot more eyes on me. Never went on the show or anything like that. But I had a lot more eyes on me. And because of that, I started posting more. And when I started posting more, I started, putting out as many covers as I could, mostly of pop songs that I didn't really even listen to. I just knew that was going to be, what's getting clicks is like the latest pop song. So I would do my own spin on these things. Learned I had a real knack for turning songs on their head and kind of like making them different. And then I made one of "Sexy I Know It" by LMFAO, and that changed my life.
Oh,
And you just never know.
well, we have it, later on in the script to talk
Okay,
about specifically about that song.
Sure.
But that's wild. Like you mentioned Ellen DeGeneres and a record label, and Jason and I both kind of made the same face, like, wait, what? Like
Right.
I don't recall ever hearing anything about that.
Yeah.
Um, so we've talked a little bit about your songwriting in that it features natural elements, references to nature, trees, etc. Um, and does it sounds like those are intentional choices. And is that the case? And then what else can you tell us about your songwriting process?
Uh, yeah, I'd say it's mostly intentional. Um, I feel like I have a lot of like bird references in a lot of my songs, but I'm a big like bird idiot, like big bird nerd. So that's definitely intentional. Anytime I can get one in there that is either different or just one I haven't used before, I try to do that.
Okay.
Uh, um, but that's just like for me, and then as far as, my writing process, it varies for sure. But I would say I get the majority of my like root ideas in the car. Just driving is usually kind of my time to talk to myself and kind of figure out, self-assess some things. What am I going through? What can I write about? What's too sad to write about? What's not sad enough to write about? So, um, I get a lot of my ideas in the car, and I usually end up, trying to get them on some kind of voice memo or something real quick. Usually just gibberish melodies, unless I just have like the title line or like, some kind of specific line. Um, and then I do a lot of like, I kind of think of it as like clip farming because I basically, um, I accumulate a lot of ideas in my phone or on a Zoom recorder or, I try to accumulate a lot of ideas and I don't always chase them down immediately. I kind of let them sit and ruminate for a little while. Um, and I end up usually coming back to, I'd say like 80% of them at least. And they turn into something at some point. I would say it's not the most efficient way to write. I don't recommend it if you're, trying to be like a 9 to 5 singer-songwriter. Um, if you have a song quota, I don't recommend it. But and that's some, like I actually would like I have kind of 2 different switches. I can turn that brain on. Like if I'm going, let's say I go to Nashville for like a week of co-writes where you're writing every day, sometimes twice a day. I can turn that on and do that, and I enjoy it pretty much just as much. But when I'm writing for my like specific kind of artistry vibe, so much of it is just accumulating the ideas and then tracking down the ones that I feel are going to, have an impact with me and, hopefully say something. So yeah, I mean, I try to be intentional with stuff. Um, and I think sometimes it, I think sometimes it can actually get in my way a little bit because
Okay.
just because it's that like perfectionist brain kicks in.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're trying to say something so like, I gotta get this point home, I can get hung up on it, and then you're kind of, you're not gonna get the song done very fast, but it'll get done. But it works for me as far as like me expressing myself and saying what I want to say in my music. It definitely works.
We talked about before you came on in the open that your sound has been compared to artists like Chris Stapleton and Jason Isbell. I'm curious, what do you think of those comparisons? And then I guess a part two is, are those artists or what other artists are some of the ones that kind of shape what has become your sound and inspire you now?
Man, so first of all, I love those artists. Jason Isbell is, I mean, probably one of the best, if not the best writer alive right now. Like one of them, I think him and
Sure.
probably like Taylor Goldsmith have a pretty good lead on things. Chris Stapleton, obviously, also incredible. I think vocally, I think I'm probably a little more in his realm as far as just kind of how our textures, are very similar. I get the Chris Stapleton comparison a lot live and stuff. And I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, no argument here.
No, not at all. Um, Somebody that I always say is one of my biggest influences, and still is to this day, though I don't listen to his stuff as much recently, but Ray LaMontagne is one of my biggest as far as how I developed my sound, and I think a lot of my like vocal choices and I mean choices in like the fact that they're like my instinctual choices are based off of just listening to Ray sing for hours and hours and hours when I was a kid. And then also, my dad is a singer, and he also has this kind of big, powerful voice. So I grew up listening to him, and kind of figuring out my own flavor of it. I think it's funny now because he has a much higher range than I do. And I also we kind of see it as he's the girl and I'm the boy when it comes to to rank. Like he's I think you probably call him like some type of tenor, and I'm definitely I think I'm in that baritone range where I can do some of the high stuff, but a lot of it's in the lower stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think like some examples today. It's so funny. The stuff I listen to is just not always what you would think.
Okay.
I listen to like as far as like trying to find my own sound or like something that's going to contribute to making my sound. One of my favorite bands, like maybe my favorite band right now is Idols. But they're like a straight ahead like post-punk, super British, super loud and rowdy kind of band. But I love that kind of stuff. I love, but I also grew up listening to like the Killers and like all sorts of other stuff too. So, I mean, I'm in this kind of roots Americana world. And I can name some of those. I will say one record I go back to time and time again, is Coyote by Dylan LeBlanc. Dylan LeBlanc is also, I think, one of those really great writers of this time. I think, he's lesser known, but that album in particular, Coyote, is top to bottom so good. And I go back to it quite a bit. But yeah, and then also like Crosby, Stills and Nash stuff, and I was kind of raised on that stuff as much as anything else. I was raised on classic rock and kind of late 60s stuff, and all of that seeps in there. I would say I think a lot of my songwriting is mostly influenced by that kind of stuff, as far like John Prine and Graham Nash and all these guys who are just telling stories, kind of as purely as you can tell them. That's the songwriting stuff. I kind of lean more on that stuff.
Well, we want to hear more of your great music, so let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Noah Guthrie about his viral YouTube success and how it led to other creative opportunities, as well as his latest album, Oddly Flexible. As we go to break, here's another track from Noah's 2022 album, Blue Wall. This one's Hell or High Water. Stick around. This is Rich Music Ramble.
study, and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Jet black clothes as camouflage, pressure and self-sabotage to fit myself into a better frame. Shifting camera angles, trying to untangle the fucked up conversation in my brain. These stretch marks on my body make me feel so sorry for the kid I was at 13. I started hating on myself in a way that no one else could ever hurt me. So heavy, if only I could change me. So
welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. The song you just heard is Heavy by Noah Guthrie off his latest album, Oddly Flexible. Now, Noah, Frank and I chose that song, or I'm sorry, Frank chose that song as her picking the Grinnin on an episode not too long ago. It's our recommendations for people, new stuff to listen to.
I remember hearing it.
Yeah. And she asked, or she talked about then how it really resonated with her. In fact, I believe the word she used to describe hearing it for the first time was gut punch. She also, talked about your authenticity and your vulnerability in that song. What does it mean to you to write, record, and release something that's a deeply personal, emotional song, I'm certain for you, but then also has a real deeply personal, emotional effect on an audience?
I mean, it means everything. It is, I think that this new record has more of those songs on it for me than previous records. The songs that actually, I feel like I said this to another interviewer recently. I think the songs that make you somewhat uncomfortable to release tend to be the best ones. And I don't know if I've ever felt that as much as some of the songs on this record. And Heavy in particular is one that as soon as I got done writing it, I was like, I have to, this is going to be one of my songs.
Right.
This is one that's going to kind of define a little bit of what I do. If anything, it's going to be one that tells one of my stories. I think when you can, especially in the live setting, when I play that song, when you can share it with people in the same room and you can get their reactions and you can, talk to them afterwards and stuff, it becomes a much more important song after that because people tell you their own stories with their struggles of their weight or just their size or, never feeling like they could take up space. And I felt all of those things all the time. And, it's not, it's one of those, it's one of those topics too, that everybody has something about themselves that they don't like, or something about their appearance that they don't like. And
For sure.
I think for the most part, you just kind of try to roll with it. Right. But that one in particular, my size, my weight, it has been a constant, it's been a constant battle for as long as I can remember. I literally, I cannot remember a time when I wasn't trying to lose weight or like actively trying to shed weight or change the way I look. And I think up until recently, I would describe it as a battle. And now I kind of I'm just trying to just see it as, it's just life. Like this is just part of who I am. And, I'm not always going to be this size. I'm not always going to be this shape, but I will be sometimes. And I will be for, some like I am right now. Like I'm at a size that I'm not like super happy with my weight right now. I'm not super happy with my size, but I have learned to give it less power over me. And I think that song in particular is what did it for me. Because I wrote it, I should say I wrote it with a friend of mine, Molly Brown, who's also had a lot of, different body dysmorphia issues and stuff like that, in her life. And, um, you know, I wrote that song with her because we got together that day and she said, "What do you got?" And I was like, I have this verse chorus idea for a song. If you want to get like really sad today, we can do this song, but it's important to me. And I told her that day, he was like, I feel like I need to try and chase it down because I just I don't feel very good about myself in the moment. Like I really don't. I was struggling a lot mentally anyway with just depression, anxiety, and it was just compounding and compounding. I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was just, really feeling it. And we wrote that song, and I swear that day it was like just I was the same size, but but like the weight did come off my shoulders a little bit.
I
Uh,
can imagine.
it is. It's just I don't know. It's like waking up from a dream. Like you just
Yeah.
kind of one day you just like, why am I giving this? Like, am I gonna? I think I said something where I was like, I don't want to go another 30 years shaming myself
Right.
for being a bigger guy. Like I'm
Yeah.
and I'm all that's the thing. I'm always gonna be a bigger guy. It's so much of it is genetics and so much of it is just how I'm built. Like I'm just a big broad-shouldered guy. And every man in my family is that way. So I don't know. I just felt like I was trying to outrun myself and
Yeah.
it's no way to live, and the more I play it live, people tell me the same thing, and I've had people who you would look at them and be like, "Oh, you're, like, just below a bodybuilder," like, you maybe not a bodybuilder, but you're ripped, and, like, I've had grown, ripped men tell me that it, made them cry and that they have had their own issues. I had like a fitness coach a while back who told me, she was like, "Hey, that song you posted the other day, I just posted a clip. That song the other day really spoke to me." And I was like, "You're like the fittest person I know." So it's like, so it's just everyone
Yeah.
deals with it.
Well, I think the important thing for you to remember, and I think for other people to know from this conversation, is that's the power and the beauty of music, because the weight that was lifted off of your shoulders in writing that song is a little bit of that is what people feel when they hear it. And so it translates that experience to them, because I know when I heard it, because I've been heavy my whole life, and when I heard it, I mean, I just kind of sat and like I teared up a little bit because I was like, wow, I feel seen and heard at the same time,
Yeah.
ironically or coincidentally. And that's what that song, that's the power of music, and the power of that song is that it really takes a burden off of the people that are listening to it. So I'm glad they're giving you that feedback, because you certainly
And I'm
deserve
glad
it. It's a great
I'm glad
song.
it helps. I've had someone tell me at a show that they were like, I came here knowing that I was going to enjoy the show, but I didn't know I would leave, um, having feeling so seen and like I could be
Mhm.
myself more. And I was just like, man, that is like, that's the best shit you can get, like that's why you do it.
And that's kind of the same reaction I had the first time I heard that song, and I heard it live, when you were playing with Nathan Graham at Fitzgerald's,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
played that song, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And like Jason said, I felt seen, and I've had weight problems my whole life as well, and as a woman, it's kind of there's a whole other layer that goes along with it because they're
Yeah.
the unrealistic beauty standards, whatever. But
100%. Yeah.
you know, and then like I felt seen, and for being a bigger person, I oftentimes felt invisible. You know, and you would think like, oh, well, a person of that size would take up so much space, couldn't be invisible, but it was the absolute opposite.
Sure.
So, excuse me. You know, I appreciated it, and that's when I really felt that gut punch. And then when you released the song officially, I was like, yes, this is everybody needs to hear this.
That's great. I just just to circle back on one thing you said, you know, I know that the burden is much tougher for women. It's a bit, and honestly, you know, I think that one reason I was so passionate about the song when I wrote it was just that it's a man singing about a vulnerable, tender topic, and you get that in music a good bit, but you don't get it in day-to-day life. And I think if I had like one thing I could change just about the world in general, like I would love for men to understand that it's okay to be tender, and it's okay to, you know, be it's okay to be a sensitive guy. It's okay to be, you know, someone who cares about your like fellow bro. You can, you know, there's no amount of like, I don't know. I wish that we could kind of get it through our very thick skulls that it's, you know, it's okay to talk about your feelings. And that's not like a unheard take or anything. It's just, that's how I feel. I do believe that that's a big problem in today's society, is just men don't feel like they can, you know, be a little gushy, you know, get like, be gushy with one another. You have to do that. Like a person, you're not just some stone walking around all the time.
And I think that's why I love your and Nathan's bromance so much.
I love
You know,
Nathan so much.
because I mean, Nathan's a big guy too. He's like 8 feet tall, you know, and
One
and
time I was telling him bye after a show one time, and I was like, I'll see you down the road or whatever. And I went up to him and I was like giving him a hug, and I just jumped up in the air as far as I could. And he was like, man, come on.
yeah, I feel that I'm 5 foot nothing. So,
Yeah.
you know, standing next to him is it's humorous.
No, Nathan's my guy. He's great.
He's awesome. All right. I want to switch gears here a little bit because you brought this up earlier, and I don't know if you know this about me or not, but I love a good cross genre cover. And obviously, some of your covers I definitely think would qualify under the cross genre. Your version.
What are
of them. Yeah, well, you brought up "Sexy and I Know It" earlier by LMFAO, and obviously that, you know, led to a wildly fun and crazy viral video on your YouTube channel and all that good stuff. But it led to other opportunities, namely being a contestant on both America's Got Talent and Dancing with the Stars, as well as a role on Glee. So, did you have any concept that when you're making these YouTube videos that, oh, I'm going to be on one of the most watched television shows of women and men in the 15 to 25-year-old demographic one day? You know, I mean, I can't imagine you expected anything like that. When did you think that was going to happen or knew that was possible?
I mean, I didn't. And every single time one of those things showed up, I got extremely scared and was just like, why? You know, like they would ask, you know, for Dancing with the Stars, it's funny. So I will say I was not on there dancing. That's not for me.
Good point.
I was on there singing songs.
Yeah.
And that maybe two or three times I did that. And that was really great. That was super fun. And again, very out of the blue. But I still have some connections with some of the dancers and stuff now. And, you know, but, Glee, was about as random of a thing as I could possibly imagine. I was not an actor. I'm still, you know, I don't consider myself an actor. Though I do kind of like, I have a little bit of an itch to get into some like musical or something now.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the time I definitely wasn't an actor. And basically what had happened was I played a show in San Francisco one night. I played a house show at this tiny little apartment. And it was me and yeah, it was me and my dad and my brother were all on the road together. And we had to stop over at this house show just as like a filler date, in between two venue shows. And I ended up playing for maybe like 10 or 15 people and had so much wine. And then actually, no, I wouldn't have had that much wine. I guess my dad and my brother had a ton of wine. I think I was still underage. But anyway, so we played this show. Turns out one of the guys at the show, the next day was on a judging panel for a talent show in Los Angeles. And it was him and a few other people on the panel. And one of those people was a casting director for Glee, and they were just kind of shooting the shit. And she was like, "Man, we're really having trouble finding this one character that we need." It was a new character they were bringing on for the last season. And he said, "What kind of person do you need?" And she said, "We're looking for a shy, chubby guy with the voice of Otis Redding."
Boy.
And
Nailed it.
yeah. So, and this guy literally looked at her, was like, "I met him last night."
Oh no.
And
Wow.
so he was like, "I will give you his contact. I'll tell him that you're going to call." So he calls my dad and is like, "Hey, I just want to give you a heads up. You're going to get a phone call from a casting director for Glee." And I remember my dad was just like, "Okay, sure." Like that, thanks, dude.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. So, and then sure enough, he does. And they, I'm sure they had kind of done a deep dive on what I do and my videos and stuff like. Basically just asked me to send in a self-tape audition, reading some lines and, singing a song or two. I figured that would be the end of it. And to be honest with you, like it just was, I wasn't looking into it. I was just like, sure, I'll do it because like I'll audition because, there's a million people out there that would give their right arm to have this audition.
Sure.
And I should at least do it,
Yeah.
and it took, to be honest, it took some convincing because I was also, I was like a 20-year-old. I didn't know what I wanted. I was scared. But anyway, so they convinced me to do it. I send in a self-tape and then they call back and say that they like the self-tape and they'd like me to come out to Hollywood and do an in-person audition for the creator of the show, Ryan. And, then I was kind of like, oh, this is weird. I guess I'll go and do this. And I think luckily I'd been out to LA a few times. I had a manager out there for a long time. So I had been out there a few times already. I wasn't too like starstruck to go by myself. So I went out there and they put me up in a hotel and I went and I did the audition for Ryan Murphy. And I did it like on one of the Glee sets. And I remember thinking that I knew I did okay. Like the audition went fine. I do remember the casting director was like, "Hey," because they knew I had never done this before. They didn't want me to go completely in there and just like get super scared. But they were like, "Hey, when you go in there, do your thing, just have fun, like do your thing. But it's going to look like he really doesn't like you. Like, but it's just he looks like that for everybody."
Resting
All
bitch
the
face.
Yeah, exactly. They're like
Yeah.
when you're in front of them, it was like him and the other creators. And so when you're in front of them, they're going to be like really, sizing you up and just thinking. So don't let that fool you or whatever. And I got in there. I was like, I got this. I play in front of people all the time. So I go in there, I start, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, he hates this. Like he really, really doesn't like this. And then I get done, and I had also heard there was like 4 other guys auditioning for the same part. And they were all musical theater guys. And I was like, oh, well, they got this, like this is exactly this is their dream role right here.
Yeah.
So I heard their performances. I was like, man, they're really good. Um, and I went back to the hotel. I think I got a cheeseburger or something, planned to come home the next day. And then I got a phone call early the next morning. Um, and it was from Robert, the casting director, and he was just like, "Hey, you got the part, buddy. And you're gonna go home for." He literally said, "You're gonna go home for like 2 or 3 days. Get like pack all your stuff and come back out here, and we'll get you on the show." And I was like,
Huh?
"Okay." I was like, "Where do I live? Like, what do I do?" So anyway, yeah, that's how it started, and then the rest is history. But it was really, really just a mind-blowing experience. I turned 21 on set. It was
Wow.
just a whole crazy, crazy adventure that I'm so thankful for now. I think,
Sure.
and I think when I came off of the show, truthfully, I think at first I was like, man, it's just gonna be Glee fans from here on out. Like I'm gonna just they're wanting me to play Glee songs all the time or whatever. And uh I'm so, so thankful for that fan base because they are extremely loyal. And they're here for like everything I do. They're not coming to I mean, obviously they'll come to shows and be like, "Ah, I'd love to hear, like father figure or take me to church or whatever it is." But they don't but they're also like, but they stay for my music. They become, true fans. And so yeah, they're awesome. Gleeks. The Gleeks are awesome.
Gleeks, yes. Oh my goodness. I was a Gleek.
Yeah, good.
And it was such a good show. And I'm a little bit older too, but I remember thinking, like, man, if my high school was like that, I would have had a better time. Those 4 years of my life would have been so much better.
And
Uh,
I didn't have Glee Club, but I had honor choir, which was close, and it was, the same feeling though. You find a bunch of other people that like to sing, and
yeah.
you're not so weird anymore.
At my school, it's called Lyrical Fight Club,
Oh, that's
but
super dramatic.
super
That's
dramatic, but it's
sounds
because I
like
teach.
drama kids that need
Yeah.
drama. Yeah,
It's an all boys school, so,
yeah.
that they're a little, insecure about,
Mm,
being in the choir,
I
so
gotcha. Yeah,
it's Lyrical Fight Club, which I
that's
think is funny.
hilarious. That's
Yeah.
really.
In my high
Wonder.
school, if you wanted to sing, you went you got a gig at the bar Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. That's how
Hell
that.
yeah, good. Yeah,
Out there in Eastern Kentucky.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I am in awe of all of your accomplishments and all the things that you've gotten to do. I knew about America's Got Talent because Nathan mentioned it when you guys played together because he
Yeah.
was on The Voice, but
Mhm.
I had no idea about Dancing with the Stars. And I think I may have skipped the final season of Glee because, or
That's
I
okay.
just, like that was when I learned about that too. I was like, no way, you're kidding me. I watched Glee all the time. So, but, okay. So while we're at it, first, I'm gonna have to go back and search to find all those episodes with you on it, as
Yeah,
well as Dancing with the Stars.
season 6. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So then, can you tell our listeners, viewers, where to find all your other stuff? Where to find your
Yeah.
your music and your tour dates, and tell us about your touring plans.
Yeah, so I mean, best thing to do is probably just follow me on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. So Instagram is at only one Noah, which I cannot stand that name. I need to just change it. I really can't stand it. But uh and then TikTok is noahguthrie.music. Um and then I do still have the YouTube channel. It's a little I definitely don't post as much as I used to, and I'm not doing the cover things anymore there. But you can find me on YouTube. And then as far as shows and stuff go, you're definitely gonna see, all my links on my socials. I have a ton of shows coming up. I'm literally leaving next week to go out to New Mexico, Colorado, do some shows. And then I come home for a little bit, and then pretty much end of July, all of August, I'll be on the road. And little bit of a break in September, and then I go to Europe in October and do a European tour there. So I'll be all over the place. If you want to come see a show, please come see a show.
Yes,
Um,
definitely do. I've seen
uh,
Noah twice. You got to go.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, so all the ticket links and stuff are in all the usual spots on my socials. You can also go to noahguthrie.com. It's all there too. And then, biggest thing is my new record, Oddly Flexible. And that's out wherever you get your music.
Yes.
I'm very proud of it. I recorded it right here in this room. This is my, my kind of, I guess, studio, you would call it, but it's got a lot of windows for a studio. But yeah, I'm super proud of it. Me and my brother made it. And I would love for people to go listen to it, stream it, share it with a friend. Yeah, that's mostly. Oh, and I have a Patreon if you want to come hear some tunes that have never been released, or if you want to, that's where I do all my cover songs now.
Yeah.
I do like fully produced out cover songs and stuff there, and that's a lot of fun for me. It's a lot more fun for me than the YouTube stuff was. I'm working on a cover of Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd right now.
Oh,
Yeah. So if you want to go over there, you can just follow Noah Guthrie Music on Patreon.
Awesome. Well, Noah, we'll make sure there's links to all that stuff in the show notes for people to find them. So for those of you out there listening, rootsmusicrambler.com, or you can go to rootsmusic.link/Noah Guthrie will be the short URL for this particular episode. Noah, thank you so much for hanging with us, man. It was great to get to talk to you and learn more about your musical journey, your life's journey, and certainly your new album, which we're excited for. Folks, you're going to want to stick around because our Pickin' the Grinnin' segment is coming up next. We're going to go out, as you would expect from me on this show. Motherfucker, turn up sexy and I know it. He's Noah Guthrie. This is Roots Music Rambler.
When I walk on by, girls be looking like, oh, he's fly. I pimp to the beat, walking on the street, I'm a freak guy. This is how I roll, animal prince getting out of control. It's a red food with a big afro, and just like Bruce Lee, I got the glow. Oh, oh, girl, look at that body. Oh, oh, girl, look at that body. Oh, oh, girl, look at that body. I work out. When I walk on the spot, this is what I see. Everybody staring at me. I got a passion in my past, and I ain't afraid to show it, show it, show it. Ooh, I'm sexy and I know it. Yeah, I'm sexy and I know it. Ooh, I'm sexy and I know it.
You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. How about that Noah Guthrie? It's just, what a good dude.
he's great.
He's awesome. It's a great talk. I'm sure he's a great hang, and just really excited for this new album. I mean, Heavy is an impactful song, but the rest of the tunes that I've heard are just really good. So
Yes, and Oddly Flexible, the latest album, has been out since March.
yes.
So hopefully a lot of you guys have already listened to it. If not, definitely go check it out now.
Yeah. Noah Guthrie, we got links in the show notes, and just you can Googles and searches and all the hourglasses for the Noah Guthries there on them and their interwebs and find all that stuff. All right, it's time for the Pick of the Grinnin' segment. This is the part of the program where Frank and I pick who's making us grin. It's our way of recommending new music, new artists, new albums, new podcasts, new audiobooks, new whatevers. And so just what we're listening to that we want you to go check out as well. Now, I think for a few episodes in a row, I have been a gentleman and let Frank go first.
Which is
And-
shocking.
And this time, fuck it, I'm not doing that shit. I'm going first this time. Because I have been going back and forth, largely due to my involvement in the weekly radio show where I focus on and try to interview and feature artists from Appalachia specifically, which is a little bit closer geographic focus than this show, which is very, very broad. And I have stumbled across a singer-songwriter from West Virginia by the name of Austin Glasspell. And Austin released a new album last week, I think it was, when we're recording this. So this would have been in mid to late May. The album is called Good Time Man. It is live and fully out there wherever you listen to music. So go find Austin Glasspell, Glaspell, Good Time Man. And the first cut on the album is a cut called Daddy Bought a New Radio. And I hit play. I like to listen to albums in order in case there's some sort of narrative or storyline. And I hit play, and he's one of the handful of artists that I've hit play, and 30 seconds later, I'm adding every song to playlists. I'm looking for older work. I'm just digging in because it just compelled me right out of the bat. I'm like, this guy writes songs that I like to listen to.
Yeah.
And so Austin Glasspell got a new fan in me real quick. And I think he'll get a lot more in all of you if you go check him out, because even if you just listen to Daddy Bought a New Radio, I think you'll be like, that sounds like songs Jason Falls likes to listen to. Yep. That's exactly it. So Austin Glasspell, Good Time Man's the name of the album. That's my pick.
All right. Good one.
So Frank,
All right.
what you got? Sorry, I, was not a gentleman. No, I'm not sorry. Sorry, not
I
sorry.
know you're not sorry, and it's
So-
okay. All right.
That
So-
just means you're the closer. You gotta bring it home. You're the headliner on this show.
Ooh, okay. No pressure. All right. So my pick this week is a band or duo that it's one of those bands, like, and I'm sure you can relate to this too. Like, you see or hear the name thrown around, but you don't really, like, you wouldn't recognize their music if you heard it. And that's where this band falls in for me. So the band I'm referring to is Marfa. And I've seen the name, in various places, like the Facebook music groups that I'm in and stuff, but never really listened to them until, again, in the car, Sirius XM radio, and their song Daisy came on. And then I'm like, oh, I like this, and then I saw that it's Marfa, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is the band. I've been seeing the name all over the place, and now I'm finally hearing them. So it's a duo. Let me get their names straight here. So they are, oh shoot, where'd they go? Okay, so Bryce Menchaca and Kellen Wall. So they met during a songwriting class in college in Colorado, and they kind of fall into that Laurel Canyon style vocal harmony sound. And they like to say that they blend all of that too with some Texas country roots and classic rock icons. So, there's a really good mix of sound that goes into it. I like what I have heard so far, and I am definitely going to dive in a bit deeper. So if you haven't heard Marfa, definitely check them out. If you do know Marfa and you have recommendations on, what else we should see or listen to, then definitely let us know that too.
Absolutely. And I think you and I were talking sort of before you hit the record button. I believe they're playing at Laurel Cove.
Yes.
Here in Kentucky this summer. So that's pretty awesome. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to make it to Laurel Cove this year. I'm not a camper.
Right.
But I may try to make it down and catch a little bit of one of the days. I'm not 100% sure yet.
They're also playing dates with 49 Winchester.
Yes.
So actually, this week as we're recording and stuff. So yeah, check them out.
There you go. Got my 49 Winchester here
Yes.
on the big program right here.
Look how that goes.
How about that? Okay, I'm getting silly enough that it's time to say goodbye so that I can go to bed.
Same.
Roots Music Rambler is a production of Folsom Partners, copyright 2026. Our theme music is Sheepskin and Beeswax by Gentacorum. Join us online at rootsmusicrambler.com. Make sure you mash that subscribe or follow button so you remember to join us for the next Hoe-Down and Throwdown. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
And whatever you do, kids,
Ramble on.